Everyone. How's everyone feeling today?
Great.
Great? Just after lunch, feeling a little sleepy maybe? Not really? Okay, let me just introduce myself. I'm Felicia Chin, Editor-in-Chief for Tickled Media. Tickled Media is Singapore's largest publisher of parenting content. We run theasianparent.com, kitlander.com, parent.sg, and Miss Banda, which is our latest e-commerce offering, which sells stylish and affordable kids' clothes. Just to make sure you're at the right event, we are at Growing Up Facebook. So all here for this event, yeah? Today we'll be talking about the implications of parents documenting their lives, the children's lives on Facebook, why parents love to share, and our children's point of view regarding their private lives shared on Facebook. And finally, what's safe, what's not, what's too much to post on online on Facebook. As most of you know, the Asian Parent has a very large Facebook following and a humongous community. And we have, the trends that we have noticed is parents post anything and everything on Facebook. I mean, you guys can see it for yourselves. Whether it's cute little pictures, pictures of their kids crying, or even discolored poo sometimes. There's no embarrassment, because you want to get feedback from other parents because they might know better. Maybe they have encountered a similar situation and stuff like that. So without further ado, well actually, other things that are happening on Facebook is parents punish their kids on Facebook now. It's a new trend because maybe you need novel ways to discipline your child. The old ways are you should throw out the window. So we actually conducted a poll on the Asian Parent, asking, would you really punish your child on Facebook? So we gave a yes option, a no option, and a maybe option. 68% said no, because it's like airing your dirty laundry in public. 32% said maybe, it would depend on the severity of my child's offense. Yet no one blatantly said yes. So, so is it right? Is it really right to punish your kids on Facebook? Well, let me introduce the panelists to you today. We have Paul Gage, Regional Planning Director, Asia Pacific Iris Worldwide, based in Singapore. He brings 15 plus years of strategic experience across digital, data, media, brand, and account planning. We have Calvin Ang. He's a financial planner by profession. He's a daddy blogger, and he's been blogging for 8 years, cheekymonkey.net. He has 3 kids, and he's been blogging for the past 8 years. And we have Mei Ling Wong, mother of 2. She is a professional writer, trainer, blogger. Her blog is universalscribbles.com. Focuses on parenting, travel, women's causes. And we have Terence Tang, Regional Director, Digital Marketing and Consumer Business Trend Micro. He is a 13-year veteran of using web and social media to build digital platforms for brands to engage their customers. We'll start off with the first topic, which is the trends, parenting trends on Facebook. So I'll hand over the mic to Paul Gage, and he'll tell us about his study, which has 7,000 respondents globally. And it talks about the, basically, yeah, the trends happening on Facebook.
Okay, all working? Great. I've got some notes here because I've got quite a lot of stuff which I can't remember, so I might have to kind of go through these notes as I go along. But just to introduce, Iris, the company I work for, we're a marketing agency, effectively. We work with a bunch of different brands. Some of them work with women specifically. We do a lot of stuff with Diageo on their project Plan W, which was mentioned then. We do work with Adidas in both women's and youth. We also work with Wonder Bra, so that's quite focused on women, mostly, 98%. But also with youth, so working with Adidas. We also work with Coca-Cola, sorry about that. And also, for those of you who saw the Olympics last year, you know those funny little mascots with the one eye? Yeah, we designed those, so and those specifically designed for kids to play with and interact with in a digital and Facebook environment. So If you adults didn't like it, don't care, it's for the kids. So I'm just going on here to talk a little bit about some of the research that we've done globally and how that's relevant to this idea and this topic of growing up on Facebook. So put it in context, as Felicia said, 7,000 respondents across the world, and that's 1,000 people we spoke to here in Singapore. That includes both mums, and we also talked to youth and kids as well, so we've got a bit of a dual dimension there to understand how digital is changing and shaping people's lives. And we see a lot of the big stats, we see a number of people who are doing things, whether Facebook, Pinterest, Instagram, whatever, but we really want to get into some of the psychology of it. So why are people doing it? How is it actually changing fundamental relationships between both within the family, but within friendship groups and society as a whole as well? So if I could distill it down to maybe one soundbite, which I think helps us sort of contextualise this in a positive way, is that social media is really, really helping mums, particularly in finding new ways to connect with their kids and actually have sort of shared passions and things to talk about. But it also has a more practical use, which is more around kind of advice and understanding for how to be a better parent. So there's this sort of dual purposes in that it's helping mums be closer to their kids with shared activities, but also practical usage as well. So I'm going to pick out a couple of things, and I will have a few stats here. We can share the stats if you want to scribble them down, but we'll share them a bit later. But there's some interesting things. And I think the first point is to bear in mind that particularly for mums, the internet isn't just for parenting, isn't just for how they think about their kids, although that is a huge part of it. But what it has actually done is liberate a lot of women to actually find more time for themselves, more me time to do the things that they're passionate and interested in. But because the great thing about the internet is it's so fast and so immediate that even if you've only got 5 minutes here or 4 minutes there in between different tasks that people are doing in their day-to-day, there's the opportunity to catch up on some news, check in with a friend, download a video, that sort of thing. And this is a sort of really quite a liberating thing for many, many parents. As a stat, 72% of women here in Singapore are actively watching video every week on YouTube, so that's a pretty huge amount. 59% of them are using the internet to regularly research on products and services, so understand reviews, understand whether a product is good, whether it's fit for their purposes. This is really down to what we were talking about. 73% of mums upload photos to their Facebook profiles on a regular basis. Top 2 topics, obviously we know kids. What do you think the other one is? Any ideas?
Clothes, fashion.
Food. There we go. Food is actually comes out across the women that we looked at higher, slightly higher than kids, which is quite impressive. The next topics they talk about are travel, photography, and interestingly, gaming. Gaming actually comes out, and then that's where you get this interesting crossover and connection with kids, because it's not just about the games that they're playing, but the games that they're playing with their kids in terms of what's an appropriate game, what's a good game, what's educational, what actually has longer term value, and what's worth investing in. So I think that's some quite interesting topics. And what I would say, and this I find, this is one particular quote from one lady, so don't take this as being everyone in Singapore, but how do I use digital? On the go, in the toilet, during bathing. I use my iPhone to access social media everywhere. My day starts around 6:30, and I normally check my phone for email and messages as well as any news updates shortly before I get up. I start my computer, and if I have an urgent email to deal with, I'll do it then. I then get my boys ready for school. So digital is coming in, all those things and all that sort of quick download. It's probably only taking a few minutes, but it's the first thing that's happening. And how many of you have your mobile phone right next to you by your bed? And how many of you, before you've even done anything else, have actually picked it up and that's the first thing you start playing with and interacting with? And that's quite an interesting psychological change in how people are living their lives. So the other sort of area which I thought was quite interesting to sort of pick out here is how incredibly active Singaporean mums are in terms of doing research. So really focusing on how good is a product and service, is it worth it, what are the reviews, what are the opinions. And actually it's the area where in Singapore, and as a global whole, Singapore is not a particularly forthcoming country in terms of commenting online. Generally speaking, Singapore is more of a voyeur country, looks at stuff, consumes it, less likely to comment, less likely to sort of share and post. However, when it comes into women, family and kids, there's a really strong ethical purpose behind actually wanting to post and actually wanting to write reviews and wanting to say, what do I feel about this, and sharing things with other mums and with other parents, and feeling that there is almost an altruistic, higher value in sharing those experiences. So to give you a bit of context, 37% of mums have reviewed a product or brand online, and that's pretty big. That's sort of 4 out of 10 have said, okay, something I've bought, something that I've used, I'm going to talk about it. To be fair, it's more likely to be a negative comment rather than a positive comment. And there is this sort of sense of making sure that other people don't go down the same route. And there can be complaints as simply from customer service through to the product in the bedclothes that I use. I'm meant to be hypoallergenic, but my kid seems to be sneezing, so sort of putting those things. But even just down to rudeness of staff and things like that. So right across the board, so staff and products and services, but a real positive requirement and need to actually tell people and share with it that this is something that you need to watch out for and give it a really sort of positive space. I think one other area as well, just to finalise on, is the value of the internet as an educational tool. And we sometimes call it the university of the internet. There is a lot of stuff out there. There's a lot of rubbish out there, to be fair. But quite a bit is very valuable, both in terms of helping mum learn stuff, but also helping the kids as well learn stuff. And there's often comments, less in Singapore, but in other parts of the world, where people say the schooling's not good enough, therefore we're having to use the internet as being one of our primary means of learning about things. But also it becomes incredibly useful when you potentially have challenges. So one of the people we spoke to, I'll just read the quote here. My youngest, this is a lady in Singapore, youngest son has dyslexia and sensory integration dysfunction, and so I've started my own blog and resource site. I've struggled with schools and others to get them to fully understand sensory integration dysfunction and what is going on for my son. This is not ADHD or autism, it's a sensory overload thing. So I'm blogging, I still do when I get the chance, I create videos, I find it's really important to help share and inspire. So this is a very, very specific challenge that this lady's got in her life, but she feels compelled to create content and share it so other people who may have some of the problems that she might be facing feel that there's an outlet and a place that they can actually understand and learn and have a more positive experience in their lives. Okay, so that's a number of the sort of key trends. It's helping with entertainment in those little nuggets. It's also helping in terms of connecting with the family and connecting with the kids, but it's also helping in terms of learning and getting information and sharing it as well.
Very interesting insights about online habits. Moving on, we would like to look at why parents share the information online, coming from our 2 parenting bloggers. We have actually done a poll on the Asian Parent Facebook page. We asked all the parents out there, do you love sharing just about everything on your adorable kids on Facebook? Why? Obviously, it's the answer is quite a no-brainer actually. One mommy said, yes, because I'm proud of my kids. They are my happy pills. Another parent, Nisa Jafar, said, it's a platform for me to share pictures of my kids and family and friends living overseas. And another one says, I can't resist the urge to share just about everything. So let's listen to Calvin and see what he has to say.
Hi, good afternoon everyone. My name is Calvin, and as Felicia mentioned, I'm a daily blogger at chickimonkey.net. And for me, I have 3 kids, aged 8, 6, and 2 years old. And I've been blogging for 8 years, which means I've been sharing a whole chunk of my life for the past 8 years actually. Why do parents like to share information and share it online? I think before the age of social media, I think back in the days during our parents' times, what we usually do is we keep photos of our kids in our wallets. And usually when we meet bump into our friends, we'll pull out pictures from our wallets and, hey, this is my kid, that's how big he is, and what's he doing now. So I think that sense of wanting to show off, so to speak, has evolved. And because it is now, there's Facebook, there's Twitter, and there's blogs, I guess in a way, maybe social media might have triggered an onslaught of maybe parent insecurities. Because every time we see a status updates of some other parents that's raving about their kids' milestones, or he got this full marks in the test, or maybe he can flip one, the baby can flip today, or he can walk, took his first steps. So it's like a lot of times parents share their child's milestones on the internet or on Facebook. And in a way, perhaps social media has become sort of like the official second opinion that most parents go to, because most parents might think, yes, I'm doing fine as a parent, but maybe, hang on, maybe I'll just go Facebook to get that confirmation. So that's why I think a lot of parents have no qualms about sharing information about kids online. At the other end of the spectrum, I think some parents, with kids, maybe they have learning disabilities, like what Paul mentioned. I think they see it as an avenue to perhaps seek support from other parents who have similar kids, so that they might have they've tried out other maybe avenues where they have helped the children improve. So yes, so I guess that's one reason as to why parents share their information with kids online as well.
Yes, Mimi.
Hi, my name is Mei Ling, and I'm a blogger. My blog's name is universalscribbles.com. The reason I call it Universal Scribbles is we're always talking about the universal topics of kids, education, growing up years, development, so it's called Universal Scribbles. I think why parents share about their kids online, as the two gentlemen has already said, I also think parents share online because a lot of times it's information. Parenting, unlike any of the other subjects, there is no degree that you can go for. So a lot of parents have a lot of questions. My son fell down, cut his tongue. Oh my gosh, where do I go? What should I give him? So they share things online to get more information. There's also a camaraderie between fellow parents when they share information online, and for example, where are the good places to take our kids? So it's more on information as well as getting a camaraderie, like, oh, so I've felt this guilty about leaving my child for a short while. I don't have to feel so bad about it. So there is a camaraderie. I mean, for a lot of parents, the parents with kids, when you have kids, sometimes you can't, time is a commodity that you're very lacking of. You're lacking in sleep, you're lacking in time, and for a lot of parents, Facebook is a way for us to connect with the outer world, for us to get information in the quickest possible way. It's also a way for us to, not so much insecurities, but competitiveness. I mean, Singapore, this is Singapore, we have kiasu parents, we have the word kiasu for a reason. So we want to know what the other kids are doing. We want to know the benchmark so that we can make sure that our kids are on par, if not superseding it. So I think that's why parents put a lot of stuff online.
Thank you, Mei. Are there any parent bloggers here? Would any of you like to share what you guys post online? No? Okay. Well, we'll move on to our next topic. Children's point of view regarding having their information shared online. When they're too young to have their own accounts, we set up accounts for them and then we post pictures for them and everything. But then, when they're old enough to actually have their own accounts, then we get really worried. Will they have enough discretion to post the right kind of material? Will they go out, party, and then their friends will take pictures of them and tag them on Facebook, and then, gosh, if the wrong pictures go out there, then their whole lives will be ruined. So when your kids are too young to post, we post everything. Will they look back at what we've posted and go like, wow, this is embarrassing, and then all their maybe naked pictures and everything, discolored poop would be online. But let us talk to, once again, our parent bloggers to see what they have to say. How your children will think about what, because your children are old enough, right?
Yeah.
To see what you post online?
I've got two kids, so one's turning 9. My son is turning 9, my daughter's turning 7. Let me share an incident. I used to put pictures of my kids online all the time. I'm a proud parent, I want to share about them. Until last year an incident happened with my son in school, and I'm forbidden from sharing it with you. So I'm just going to tell it in a very vague manner. Please forgive me. So this is what happened. My son goes to a primary school, and I got a call from a teacher and say, something's happened to your son. He's got something to do with his ear. You need to take him to the hospital right now. So, so we took him to the hospital. Everything was resolved, and it was fine. And I laughed about it. And because he's a boy, he's an 8-year-old boy. 8-year-old boys do silly things. Any parents out here can concur? Yeah. So 8-year-old boys do silly things. And so I laughed about it, and I said, oh, I'm so going to put this on Facebook and tell my friends about it. My son looked at me, horrified look on his face, and said, don't you dare. And so that sort of made me stand back and asked him, why not? You know, it's something non-issue. What is not important to us, what we deemed as is just a silly thing, you know, it's a passing phase, but for them it's a really, really big thing. And it made me take a stand and say, I need to start respecting his privacy. After all, this is his life, and it is his life that I'm putting on Facebook. It is not mine to put. So that made me pause and think, and since then I have been a little bit more careful in the things that I posted online. Even his pictures, I know I have friends who posted their daughters in bikini tops, you know, really sexy looking, young girls, 4 or 5, cute, sexy. But sometimes I look at it and I'm thinking, how is this going to affect them in the future? So that's what made me pause. Kevin?
Well, I guess I'm perhaps maybe the opposite of you, because just the beginning of this year, my son, my second son, he went to P1, and he's sort of more of a clumsy kind of guy. I don't know whose genes he got it from, but anyway, I mean, if you go to my blog, you should be able to read my whole account. But what happened was that he became the first boy in the entire school to fall into school pond. So what happened was but luckily the pond was only knee deep, so he could stand up, but he was covered in algae and stuff like that. So but I posted it on Facebook. I mean, I didn't have a picture of him, but I posted it as a status update, and eventually it morphed into a blog entry. But when I did so, I did tell him that, you see, what I'm trying to do is I'm just going to, it's basically because our blog is like a diary, and whether is it happy moments or funny moments or even embarrassing moments, if it's okay, if I deem it to be okay, I would want to jot it down so that maybe perhaps 10 years down the road we look at it and we laugh about it. So and I did tell him, and he was okay with it. So so actually for my family, what we do is whenever I block a post or I put pictures up on our Facebook accounts, I will let both my sons take a look. So, and because it has been, I mean, I've been blogging for 8 years, so there have been a fair amount of entries over the years. So what my 2 boys does now is they use it as their bedtime reading, because they can't really remember, you know, what they have done when they were 4 years old, 3 years old, or the places, the holidays that we have been to. So what I do is at night, they will just like, perhaps, okay, read this month's entry, and to them, I think they still enjoy it, and they do realize why I blog, I mean, what I'm doing, as in why I'm still maintaining the blog. So I guess in a way, whatever we do, I think we just have to share with our kids, so that when they grow up and have their own Facebook accounts, I think then perhaps it's nurtured that way.
Any parents out here would like to tell us what you guys share on Facebook about your kids? Anyone? Any takers? No? Okay, let's move on to the next topic, which is how much is too much to share on Facebook, and how often do we actually check our privacy settings? We have Terence from Trend Micro here to talk to us more about this very essential topic.
Okay, thanks. Okay, before I start, do you all know who Trend Micro is? Because I thought you may not know. Trend Micro is actually a global security company, We are listed in Tokyo Stock Exchange, so we are actually a Japanese company in that sense, right? Okay, so before I start talking about this topic, because I think this topic is a very interesting topic, very interesting question, and I think there's no right or wrong to the question. But before I start, maybe I can share with you a little bit on how we see the digital landscape today. Okay, so today everybody is online. Most of us are online. Everything is social, and we're actually in the post-PC era. Okay, so what I mean by post-PC era means it means that more and more of us are leveraging on mobile devices instead of the PC to access information online. Right. So there are three trends that we see today. One is that more and more consumers are using multiple devices to access internet online, using mobile devices to connect with their friends. Right. And the second trend that we see is that social networking is part of our life. Right. We connect with our friends through social media. We share photos of our families on social media. I'm one of the parents that I share a lot of my children's photo, my son's photo online too, actually. Right. And the third trend is how do consumers start to manage their data, because there's so much information that we have today. Example, the photos that we take on mobile phones. You know, if we lose our mobile phones, how are we going to get it back? Okay, so these are three trends. But I think today we zoom into the second one, which is more on the social media part. Right. And on the cyber criminal side, right, and of course the cyber criminals get more and smarter, okay, as technology advances, right. It's no longer like many years back, maybe 15 years back, whereby hackers or cyber criminals just create a virus file, try to disturb your machine, and they just stand in a corner and laugh when your hard disk crash. Today is different. Today is about stealing our identity, stealing our information, and sell it in the underground digital economy. Okay, so for example, a set of credit card details is worth about $1 to $3 USD, right? And for every million email addresses that or they have stolen, right, it is worth about $8, right, USD. So usually the operations last within maybe 1 or 2 weeks, and they could collect maybe hundreds of thousands and even a million of data. So can you imagine how much money they can get out of this? And therefore, they will go to places where they think they can collect this information, or they can steal this information from the consumers. So popular places are gaming sites, for example. Okay, and of course, on Facebook, we receive a lot of threats coming through Facebook these days. Okay, one of the things that I forgot to also share about Trend Micro is that actually Trend Micro and Facebook have a relationship today, as in we are providing the URL filtering protection for all the Facebook users globally. Okay, and the reason why I think this has happened also because we are seeing more threats on social networking sites like Facebook. All right, so there are three points that I'd like to highlight today. I think the first point is on sharing too much information. Let's talk about parents. Let's talk about sharing photos of food, right? So sharing photos of food seems to be a very harmless act, right? So it's no big deal, right? But imagine that you like char kway teow, you know, because you just love the food and you like to share char kway teow, right? And because you like char kway teow, and therefore one of the security questions to your password is, what's my favorite food? All right. So this is one way that your strangers who go into your Facebook account or cyber criminals could just get in and hack into your account and get your password. Right. Another part about food is that many of us do not want to share our date of birth to strangers because we think that it is confidential, and usually we use date of birth as a way to verify with the bank, you know, or the telecom operators. But you could be sharing food of a birthday party that you have, right? And say that, oh, this is my 21st birthday party, right? And this is the great food that I had. So unknowingly, you're actually sharing confidential information to people around you. Okay, so that's one of the. So today, the way we see privacy to a lot of us have changed. The definition of privacy has changed, right? In the real life, we probably would not want to put a piece of paper in front of our door and say that this is my name, all right, this is my mother's name, and I'm carrying away. For the next 10 days, I'll be in Europe touring, so I'm not at home. Please bring to my house if you want to. No, I mean, just a joke. But we don't do that in real life. We don't do that. But on Facebook, right, we're constantly doing that. So for sharing of information, from what I see, there are three types of sharing. The first type is you willingly share the information, but not realizing that potentially, these are confidential information, right? The second type of sharing is you have no intention to share, but because you download one of the latest application for your Android phones, and therefore you open up your access to them, like you tell them where are you, where's your location, what's some of your personal information like emails, etc. So you're actually sharing. And the third type of sharing, right, is that when you, for example, when you lose your phones and you didn't set up a password to protect your mobile devices, and everybody, the person who pick up your phone is able to access all the confidential information in your mobile device, right? So this is the three types of sharing that I see today. And other than sharing, I think the second thing that I want to talk about is on digital footprint. I think we briefly mentioned, a lot of us are not aware that everything goes online, stays there forever, okay? And it gets propagated very, very quickly, right? And try Googling yourself and see what you find. You'll be surprised that there will be photos of yourself posted by some of your friends that you may not know. Okay, I'll give you one example. One of my son is attending one of the sports class. Okay, and I just get to know one of the parents, and I check out some of the information that he has put up, and I realized that he has captured a very nice video of his son batting the ball. And I realized that next to him is actually my son and my wife, trying to help my son bat the ball as well. So thank goodness that is a pretty decent video. But just imagine, the video of my wife on internet. She may not be behaving in the right way. So information like that can be quite confidential or something that you don't want to share. Okay, so that's on digital footprint. And I think the last point I want to share is on cyberbullying. Okay, I think I saw in a survey from Singapore Poly that 68% of the youth actually said that they have been cyberbullied before. Okay, and a lot of times, if we talk about the topic that we have today, right? Sometimes parents share something that, like Miguel was sharing, that the kids do not want to show their friends. But because you're sharing on Facebook and the friends happen to be, imagine that your kid is also on Facebook and the friends happen to see this funny thing that the mom of the friend put up, it could lead to cyberbullying. Cyberbullying can range from a negative remark to really propagating some of the silly pictures of this person to a lot more people on the internet. Right. So the last point that I want to share is to show my cyberbullying that I think all parents need to be aware of.
Thank you very much, Terence. Do any of you have questions for our panelists? Anyone?